Welcome to the Asian Women of Power podcast, where your host, Kimchi Chow, shares tips, tools, insights, and strategies on how you too can create the life you love with freedom, power, and choice. Kimchi will show you how to break free of your cultural boundaries and boldly live the life of your dreams. If you are ready to transform your life, please go to www.asianwomenofpowerquiz.com and take the quiz. You may qualify for a free discovery session with Kimchi. And now, here's your host, Kimchi Chow.
When I was young, I used to watch Chinese movies where people can fly through the air or fight with the enemy bare hands. At those times, I wished that I had those skills, that I could defend myself and protect others without any weapon. Well, it's too late for me to learn that skill now, but it's not too late for you to understand this ancient art form and how people use it in the modern day. We are going to have an exciting and fun session with two of our special guests who accomplish a lot using a Chinese martial art form called Wushu. Please help me welcome Sarah, Chang, and Alfred Hsing.
Hello.
Let's start with Sarah. Hi. What's your childhood story and how Wushu led you to the entertainment industry?
So I was born and raised in Virginia. I started Wushu in Chinese school, and later I was brought to the Wushu school of Zhang Guifeng. Zhang Guifeng is a teammate of Jet Li, and that was when I started Wushu. Later on, she encouraged me and my sister to train for the US Wushu Team. And then so we started training, and then eventually we made it to the US team, and then I was on the US team for 10 years. And that was basically how I developed my passion. It was actually because my dad, he really liked martial arts, so that's why he encouraged us to do it in Chinese school. He watched a lot of wuxia movies, so he pretty much forced us to do it when we were little. But it basically turned into a passion, and I don't think he knew that it would be something that I did for like the rest of my life, and eventually into doing like a movie career. So yeah. What about you, Alfred?
For me, there's some similarities there. I was, my dad also used to rent a lot of Jackie Chan and Jet Li movies, because back then, when we were watching them, Jackie Chan wasn't even mainstream in America yet. So he would go to the Chinese supermarket and rent these, Chinese, Hong Kong action movies. So I was watching things like Drunken Master. I saw Rumble in the Bronx before it came out in the theaters in America. And anyways, I was watching a lot of Jackie Chan and Jet Li movies. And it wasn't actually until I was always into martial arts, but it wasn't until high school that I actually discovered Wushu. There's many styles of martial arts. Karate, Taekwondo, and so on and so forth. But Wushu at that time, where I grew up in Northern California in the Bay Area, it was just starting out. There was maybe 2 or 3 schools. And so anyways, when one of my classmates introduced me to go, she referred me to this martial arts school. And when I discovered it, I went there and somehow immediately felt this connection because of all of the buildup from my childhood watching all these movies, especially like the Once Upon a Time in China, like Wang Fei Hong series with Jet Li. Somehow when I saw, this movement that one of these instructors was doing at this free trial, I was like, whoa, that's exactly what I want to learn. I just felt a connection with it, I didn't even know like the specific background of Chinese martial arts or this martial arts. I didn't know the details, but I just knew that I connected with it. And so immediately I was sold. I was signed up, and from there, I just felt this connection with it. So once I started training, I just felt a natural knack for it. And, I went to competitions like beginner level, and I did pretty well. And so it built more confidence and more self-esteem. And so I continued and continued. And same with what Sarah's saying. I don't think my parents would have expected that I would have continued on with it beyond, college and into my professional career. And it's definitely defined a large part of me and a large part of what I'm doing in life now.
So do you think that learning wushu train you to be more disciplined?
I think that it definitely trains people to be more disciplined because, it's at the end of the day, it's what you get out of anything that you do. It gave me more discipline in the sense that if I wanted to be the best at something, I had to show up for practice. I had to put in the dedication, the hard work. I've trained in actually many places, but one of the places I trained in was in Westminster area, and that from where I lived when I moved to LA, that was like a 1 hour drive, but me and some of my teammates, we made the dedication to drive like an hour out of our way just to go practice, and through rush hour traffic and all that. So it's what you put into it, and anything you put hard work into, you can gain something from, whether it's discipline or dedication, anything like that.
Yeah, I totally agree on that. And for across various different martial arts or various different things you do in life. But I think for wushu, there's also that aspect. There's so many different aspects of it that you really have to work on, like the flexibility training, that takes a lot of discipline to do it. You really have to do it every day before you can, get to where you want to be, and the conditioning and everything that's added to it. So that does take a lot of discipline to get that. And you have to, the famous line growing up is, "Oh, sorry, I have wushu." So you do have to say, like,
That's true.
Sacrifice your social life, right? Yeah.
Yeah. You got into it on a more detail. I totally agree with that. You have to give up. I mean, like we all, I guess, you had to sacrifice something, but it's because you had the passion to push forward in what you want to do, and that was wushu or achieving certain things. And so, totally agree that a lot of sacrifice. I do forget about that. Like a lot of people are going out or whatever, and you still like, okay, it's more important to go train. And there was something else I wanted to mention is that, I feel like wushu for me definitely helped me become more OCD. Like I became more detailed, I guess. And that's really helped me for what I'm doing now, because beyond just stunts, also I'm getting into action directing, stunt coordinating, and all that. And it's really important to be detailed, the right angle, the right measurements, safety, a lot of these things, just being very precise, having a certain eye for things. And wushu has done that for me because of the way that, wushu competition was. We had to be really precise with hitting a certain level of movement. Like there's this thing called nandu, which is like a difficulty movement, which I'm sure Sarah can also go into more. But when you hit these certain moves or these requirements, that is part of part of the martial arts and part of the competition, you have to know these things and be very specific. And just the difference of like certain like hand positions, just like little things. There's so much that like the here versus here, thumb versus this, versus open versus closed versus straight. I
always had this problem.
Yeah, so I mean, people wouldn't probably normally think about that, but because my mind was, because you're competing at that, both Sarah and I were at the level of a national and international level. The competition gets very precise. You can't just kind of wing it, and so just zeroing in on, when you're zeroing in on these details when you're already like good in general is a much harder, because you have to really refine. And I'm sure Sarah can speak on some of the things she's got to overcome and just to work on in that area as well.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Everything is about like being precise, because if you're not precise, which for me, has really cost me a lot of different competitions in my life, you lose it. It's really between a couple points. And so if you don't make that step, or you don't make that, that difficulty, then you really lose the competition. And you really just have to have that, laser focus to really just be that much better than the guy next to you. So yeah, totally. Precision is key.
Absolutely. Yeah. So what's the most unique character that distinguishes Wushu from other martial art forms?
I think, Wushu is actually, in general, Wushu is kind of like, it's called martial arts in general in Chinese.
It's the same as Kung Fu, right?
Yeah.
Most people know the word Kung Fu.
So Kung Fu in Chinese actually means like a skill, like having like high skill in something. So that's how you become having like Kung Fu. So it's kind of, I guess, the terms that are used are sort of more generalized than what we do. There's two different forms of wushu, because we do like competitive modern wushu, contemporary wushu, and then in contemporary wushu there's the taolu. Taolu means the form section, which is what Alfred and I do. And I think after in doing films, we both also now do more of the sanda, which is the fighting form. Like Kung Lee does more sanda. And so in terms of different aspects between this Chinese martial art and others, I think for me, it's the use of sort of like your chi and the movement and how it kind of flows together. It's very like fluid for in the taolu aspect that we do. I think that's something that stands out to me. But I think maybe Alfred could have a different take on what's the difference of wushu really with other martial arts, because I think it's difficult to really pinpoint that, because I think every martial arts you're using your hands and your feet and your limbs and everything, and so everything sort of gets mixed together. There's still punches, there's still kicks, but I think the one thing that I can say is that the fluidity of the movements and how you use your chi, which you only get to once you get to a certain level of practicing wushu.
So the move, I know, I see that like a Kung Fu movement is very, very smooth. And then sometimes for people like me, I thought, oh, that's Tai Chi. Is it similar? Is Tai Chi similar like Wushu, or Tai Chi is rooted from Wushu, or vice versa?
Okay, I'll
go ahead.
Well, first I want to say that it's super it's super great hearing Sarah describe what wushu is, because I think that's one of the things that a lot of people that started with wushu face is trying to explain it, and I literally have had the exact same kind of conversations with people. So my version, which is not too much difference from what Sarah said, is basically wushu. There's a modern form of wushu, and then there's a little bit more of what we perceive as a traditional form. And these days people just call it kind of kung fu, stuff that you see is a bit more traditional. There's modern wushu, which is basically, now it's become a style, just like taekwondo, karate. They're all styles, and it's just the way you recognize them is based on their qualities. So taekwondo their quality might be focused on kicks, but they still do punches. And karate, they're a little bit more of a hard style, but they also have punches and kicks. Whereas maybe jiu-jitsu is another martial arts style, but it's focused more on grappling and submission techniques. So, but these are all martial arts because they use hands, feet. It's a form of combat. Wushu, I believe, would be symbolized by a combination of fluidity, grace, and power, sprinkled in with a little bit of acrobatics. So the best way the best way you recognize these things is by watching them and seeing them more. Just like food, there's Korean food, Chinese food, Vietnamese food, all kinds of food around the world. But I mean, there's still protein, there's still carbs, there's still, vegetables. But what makes it Korean food, what makes it, you know, like Japanese food, it's because just certain characteristics. You're like, oh, okay, I recognize, you know, sashimi, that's a Japanese food, but doesn't mean that Korean people can't use fish, you know? So anyways, that's my best analogy, comparing wushu to food. Not to be confused with mushu, which is a style of Chinese cuisine. But I would say, so let me answer your question for Tai Chi. I actually had the opportunity to do a little bit of modern wushu Tai Chi, and I also did a little bit of traditional Tai Chi. And so basically, yeah, Tai Chi would be a subcategory of wushu. So it is definitely a Chinese style of martial arts. And even then, it can be, like I said, separated into two categories, like the more modern wushu version of Tai Chi, which is, it's become a presentation and it's very graceful. It's high level of difficulty, you know, like dropping down to one leg and all these difficult movements, combined with they have jumps where they land into like the splits and certain things. But with traditional Tai Chi, there's many styles, but the two dominant ones are Chen style Tai Chi and Yang style Tai Chi. So Chen style Tai Chi is, again, it's more of, it is martial arts, but it has a bit more combative applications to it. And they basically focus on kind of an upright level of grappling, where they take you off balance and like Tai Chi Tuiso, like where they can push and basically knock you off balance. So that's the simplest way I can say it. That's kind of the strength of the traditional Chen style Tai Chi. And you do see that they have these like explosive movements that you don't see in typical Tai Chi because you know, again, they're different. So I spoke a bit about it, but to summarize it, it would just be like I said, Japanese food, it's a subcategory. So like sushi or like katsudon or whatever, like they're just different, you know, they're different. There's like rice bowls, there's you know, there's sushi, there's ramen. Well, no, that's Korean. Okay, that'd be a different style, but in terms of food, yeah. So it's Tai Chi is a subcategory, just like within Japanese food or within Chinese food, you have Sichuan style food, you have, you know, northern, you know, Beijing duck and et cetera, et cetera. So it's a subcategory.
Okay, I got it. I'm hungry right now. I'm hungry.
Yeah. I know. Well, we're doing this right now. It's dinner time.
You're right. So it's very, very useful and it's relatable when you refer to food, right? Because
everyone loves food.
Most of us have experienced multiple Asian food, and as people, the Westerner, they say, yeah, you are Asian, right? You say, yeah, we are all Asian. We are very different. We have specific food or type of dish that's distinguish us from each other.
Yeah.
So how do you stay in shape if you know, as a stunt professional?
I'll handle that first and pass it to you. For me, you know, well, lately, staying in shape for stunt work has been, it's basically you try to stay, well, for me, I try to stay, with a variety of workouts, you know, so sometimes, because you want to keep your skill set, more, broad, as opposed to, so when I was training competitively for wushu, day in and day out, we would be training, you know, our wushu kicks and our forms over and over, you know, like whatever your form was, if it was like long fist, southern fist, you know, weapons, short weapons, we just train those in and out, day in and day out. But for stunt work, the difference is, I think everyone will gravitate towards their skill set because every stunt person is different. Some stunt people focus more on driving stunts, high falls, diving, gymnastics, you know, but my skill set might be more within the fight choreography and kind of martial arts side of it. Not that I'm limited to that, but that would definitely be kind of an area that I gravitate towards. So I'm training different styles of martial arts. Definitely, I'm a huge fan of mixed martial arts and UFC stuff. So I've been learning more of, Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, training that with friends, then also combining that with, more acrobatic training. So tricking, or XMA kind of as they call it, which is just the crazier flips and, twists, cork, stuff like that. And then just keeping up with the general cardio. I really like HIIT, high intensity interval training, and stuff like that. So it's really important, I guess, to just keep on learning, keep on increasing your skills, but at the same time, maintaining them, so I'm doing cardio and going to the gym. So it's almost a endless amount of training. But I know Sarah has crazy HIIT and cardio. What do you do for your training?
Yeah, I totally agree with like all the points that you talked about. And I think right now, like, I'm definitely more focused on mixed martial arts, because I think in terms of like movies and as an actress, more parts will do more like mixed martial art things. And then if they want me to do wushu, it's not going to be competitive wushu. I mean, for us, we could pull out certain wushu skills just like that. I mean, we've been doing this for I've been doing this for over 20 years. Mm-hmm. Not to say my age or anything, but I mean, yeah, it's something that's kind of ingrained in us. So right now, learning new skills and learning different martial arts and learning, if I could be like a boxing role, or like, or if I could do like a Muay Thai role, or a MMA fighter. I mean, I think that's more viable these days, especially with the popularity of the UFC. But in terms of home workouts, I like to work out with my daughter. She's my new weight. We do a lot of like family workouts, and yes, we do like HIIT workouts as well, high intensity cardio workouts. It definitely helps. And yeah, a lot of it now is more to stay in shape and to stay, muscular, like sort of muscular, toned, because, we don't want to see these like female action heroes that have no muscles. That's a big no-no. So we have to make sure we're still, still fit.
Yeah. And especially you, Sarah, as a young mom, congratulations. Congratulations. You have a lovely daughter. And I think she's going to pick up after you.
Yeah.
So as a young mom, has this new role forced you to evaluate your current career as a stunt woman?
So right now I'm mostly in the being an actress. I don't really do stunt double work anymore. And I think that even before I had my daughter, I actually already made that choice. I think it's really hard to be one or the other. Once you become a stunt professional, especially if you're a girl, there's like a shortage of women stunt professionals. And I think that like once you show that you have your skills, people will want to keep you as a stunt professional. So I haven't done stunts in that respect for quite a long time now. And if anything, I would move more towards like directing my own action, or like mostly because I can choreograph and I know which moves I'll look better in. So, kind of if you're in the role, and you want to do a really awesome fight, you kind of put in a lot of your own input. So I did get to action direct a film in 2017, which is now on iTunes, the Trigonal Fight for Justice. And so in terms of doing stunt stuff, that was something that I did. But going back to your question, sorry, I totally... becoming a new mom, yeah, you definitely think a lot more about like your safety and the future. And so definitely, yeah, more acting roles for sure. And I mean, as an actress, you're definitely open to all different roles. I'm down for comedy or romance or drama. That's all fine. And if it has action, then yes, I can showcase my wushu skills, or current MMA skills that I've picked up along the way.
So which role would fit your personality the most? You say you can play comedy, you can play action, you can play romance and things like that.
You can do it all.
Yeah, I
Which one
think
fit you?
definitely action comedy. I feel like, I like doing action comedy the most. So, I like to think of like sort of taking them more like Jackie Chan route. Everyone always asks, martial arts, which one would you like? Who do you like the best? Is it Donnie, Jet Li, Jackie? Always you get that question, but you can't say you like one because everyone, each one has their specialty, and you want to be like well-rounded with the most, like all of them. But I do say that I would like to go more towards action comedy and, Jackie Chan style.
I think that role has not been taken yet. So I'm waiting for your name. Okay, Sarah,
Okay.
just make it, just set that role. Say I will be, the action comedy actress. So yeah, I don't remember to see any Asian woman who is good in martial art as well as funny. So just maybe work on that.
Something there, yeah. Maybe there's
something there for her.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Alfred? What about you? So would you continue working as a stuntman once you are married and have children?
Well, I think the profession that I'm in, stunt work, action filmmaking, I think that's a profession that I'd like to be in my whole life, throughout my whole lifetime. But it's, in terms of being a stunt man or a stunt performer, I think there is a certain longevity, life, there's a certain limit on that in terms of doing the physical stunts and action and a lot of the heavy, more extreme hits. But even now, regardless of, marriage and family and all that, I'm already, you do have to think ahead. You do have to think ahead that, when you're 50 or 60, you don't want to be falling off a building and crashing this. I mean,
yeah,
there still are people that are amazing and they're still very skilled, and maybe they love that, and they want to keep doing it. That's totally awesome, and I have a lot of respect for that. But I'd like to, at that age, have the choice of what I want to be doing, and so that's why I'm transitioning. And I wouldn't say transitioning, but I'm doing both. I'm performing physical action, but I'm also choreographing, stunt coordinating, and so a lot of that is more mental, because you're working with a team of people. You're not doing every single, a car hit or a fall or whatever. You're getting the best people. Some are younger people. You're getting some amazing people that can do high level acrobatics and tricks, and you're piecing it all together, and you're trying to create something, innovate something that's very exciting, fun for audiences, but also really works with the story and the script. And so I'm transitioning in that way, and I've already. I also really enjoy the directing and action directing part of things. So, in China, I've action directed, which they also call second unit directing, a 42 episode TV series out there, which heavily featured mixed martial arts as one of their kind of storylines in there. And so I was the action director, which meant I brought together the stunt team. I put together all of the action, designed it. I was in charge of the whole set when it comes to shooting the action portion. So I tell the extras, the actor, everyone, I basically coordinate the whole sequence and shoot it. And I had a small hand in some of the preliminary editing. And I had a small role in one of the episodes as one of the athletes. So that was a dream. That was definitely a dream, because people ask you, do you want to do stunts? Do you want to act? Do you want to direct? Well, I kind of got to do everything there. And that would be a dream, is to be heavily behind the scenes with kind of designing and creating something really fun and exciting, but still, playing with my friends and playing with all the, the actors who have become my friends with like a role or two, I think that's like the ideal for me. And I look towards, like, for example, Jon Favreau, he directed Iron Man, but he's also a role in the movie, but he also directed it. He's not Tony Stark, but he's got a role in it. And that's kind of the realm I want to be in, but maybe with action or action comedy. And so, yeah, that's kind of what I really aspire for.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. That's so cool. Congratulations, Alfred.
Oh man, I'm not there yet, but thank you.
Well, it's you are stepping onto the path already, so that's wonderful.
Yeah, I think you totally have the skills to action direct and act in, a feature length film and do. Yeah, you're there. You're there.
I appreciate it, guys. I think every day
skills.
Every day we're just, one step at a time, one step at a time.
Hustling.
Yeah, one step at a time. Yes.
Yep.
So, okay, now I want you to bring us back the first time you get a role in a movie, right? What did you feel at that time? Do you remember, Sarah?
Now I'm trying to think back. Well, you're obviously really, really excited. You're nervous. I think the first role that I got in a movie, just going back to like first short film. So first acting gig, I think that would be a different experience from first feature film, because after feature film, you've already done several. But first short film, I think for me, like I didn't, it was really scary and really exciting at the same time. Like, oh, okay, I get to do this. This is so cool. But at the same time, you're like totally lost. You don't know like what what you're supposed to do when you actually get to it, But yeah, super, 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 super excited, but also really nervous. And then because it's like a lead role in a short action film called Live and Scheme. And, I read the script. I thought it was super cool. And the director actually took a lot of time. Actually, we would just hang out in character, before we actually shot the film. So I was like really comfortable by the time we actually shot it. It's just exciting and something unknown, I would say. It's like, nerve-wracking. But then, I was really fortunate that director was a good friend of mine. So we actually just stayed in character. We just hung out in character, for like 2 weeks before we did the shoot. So when I actually got to the shoot, I was really, really on it and like felt great doing that role.
And there was something in there that Sarah said that it was it made me like think about just when she said that it's kind of like nerve-wracking on your your first time doing a project or anything. It just, I don't know what, but I just thought of like knowing Sarah. It's like I think there's something I admire that even when it's like uncharted territory. Even though it's like it is kind of scary. I think it's scary for anyone, but she's always down to like chart that uncharted territory and even if it's a little bit, even if she's scared or just kind of like uncertain about it, she's willing to go like head on into it. And I think that's something that's like pretty admirable. She's always been,
or
going
stupid,
hard.
Not sure.
Yeah, but she's willing to do it, and a lot of people are not willing to like take a step into something that they're uncertain about or like kind of scared of, and I think to do anything remarkable or to really pursue what you want to do, you have to be willing to like be afraid but be okay with like okay, somehow it'll work out, or like I got this, and it's a combination of that. But she has that mentality and she still goes for it, even though she's like, I have no idea what's going on, or like there's an element of that because it's your first time. I'm saying I'm the same way, but
okay. What about you, Alfred?
What about me? Are you talking about my first project?
Yes, first role in a movie.
Well, I'm not sure. I'm trying to think what would be my my first one, but I'll share what is one of my firsts. I'll share a first with you guys. That's I think it's a little bit more of an interesting story. So I was already starting to get into film, and yeah, I was already a little bit into the film industry. I had already done a few small projects, short films and stuff like that. But I had found my way to working. I was working in China for Jet Li, and I was assisting him. And we were on this movie called The Sorcerer and the White Snake. So prior to that, I was in the U.S. I had worked on some short films, like a UCLA student film, and a couple other projects, but this was my first time anywhere on a major like feature film. I think it was 20 or 30 million dollar US, maybe like $20 million US budget. So it was like a really big project. And I was like amazed at like just everything on the set, and like how big of a scale. There's sometimes like hundreds of extras. And anyways, one day the producer, she was really cool with me, really amazing person, and she was like, hey Jet, like why don't you put him in one of the scenes, like make him one of your disciples as a monk. And he's like, okay, sure, like go ahead. So I got super excited, because obviously film, this is what I've been wanting to do. And so I rush, they rushed me to the hair and makeup. They shaved my head.
Oh my
I
God.
didn't care, because it was like, oh, I get to be a monk in a Jet Li movie. Like, how cool is that, And anyways, this kind of leads back to what we were talking about earlier, because when I was actually on set, like on camera, and they gave me a line, they're like, I'm talking to one of this bad guy or something, how dare you steal this thing or whatever. The line was in Mandarin, in Chinese. And all of a sudden I was kind of like, oh my gosh, it's like, what am I doing? Like, there was basically like Jet, I was acting opposite of Jet, and he was giving me this look of like, all right, like, don't fuck it up, Can I say that? Anyways, don't mess it up. And I mean, yeah, the director was Chen Xiaodong, who did Shaolin Soccer. He was like action design on Hero, and I mean, he's a huge
Yeah, very big
Hong Kong
name.
director. And yeah, he came in with, he had like a crazy jib camera come in, like all this equipment, and like you look around, I'm looking up, and there's just the lighting department, the extras, sound, like all these departments. Like basically I felt like, if I messed up, that everyone would be, judging me, or being like, oh, that guy's terrible, or he's wasting our time, or just, so many thoughts, so super nerve-wracking. And like, really, when you've been anticipating and really wanting an opportunity, and you want it so badly, you don't want to mess it up either, anyways, in hindsight, I was able to pull through. I got through it. It was just a small, scene, but and looking back, I don't feel like it's really anything you should be nervous about or anything. But just in that environment for the first time, it was definitely it felt like a lot of things were going on at once.
Yeah, I mean, just to add on, I think in all film sets, that's how, like, it's just, you need an army to do any film, and it's like, when you're in the spotlight, in the acting, if you're like acting in it, there's like, the camera, okay, and the lights, like everyone there is there to just shoot whatever you're gonna do on the screen.
Yeah.
It is extremely nerve-wracking, especially on like a big budget production. I mean, you have several cameras, pointing at you, and then you have like a certain timing. There's so many things to think about. Sometimes they have, okay, you better move at this point. When the camera comes here, you better move. If you don't do it right on the beat, gotta do it again. Imagine telling like 100 people, oh hey, you gotta do it again. I mean, which is normal on the film set, but the amount of nerve-wracking, that feeling, it really it's real. Yeah. I totally
which is why it's like super important to have, like, the more you do it, the more experience you build up. That's kind of why people, it doesn't matter how talented or certain things you are. It's just, you can kind of tell when people have experience, because you do have this trial and error, and you make these mistakes, or not even mistakes, but you accumulate, these experiences, and you realize, okay, there's nothing to be nervous about, or I got through that, and everything is a new obstacle. And just like Sarah was saying, it's like if the camera is coming and you have to move and time it and kind of feel the camera, these are all things that accumulate with experience. So it's just important to go forward and do it.
Yeah, and just like any other industry as well, right? So, the more we practice improving our skills, the better, or the faster, or the more efficient we will do our task. So, as a stunt person, it's very dangerous, right? You put your life on the line. I wonder why the main character, like, Jackie Chan, I know that he used to do his own stunt until recently, that he's too old or something. But why would he do that? Why would he risk his life to do the stunt where, they can hire you, like Alfred, the young guy who can, do his stunt double? Why?
Okay, I guess this one's automatically on me, because I've had the opportunity to work with him. I feel like there was two questions there. But if you're asking about Jackie Chan specifically, he pretty much still does mostly everything. I think it's pretty understood now that when you're filming a crazy level production, that sometimes there's two units. Sometimes you got to shoot over someone's shoulder, or if there are certain things that a fall or certain things that he's already done before, then there may be a stunt double, because I mean, every production needs to have doubles. It's just a matter of logistics, But to answer your question though, the reason that he does his own stunts is because he started off, his base was as a stunt person, and he built his his name and his brand off of the fact that he's putting himself to the limits, and kind of on a physical level, doing everything he can to entertain audiences and bring excitement to people. So I think the fact that he does it himself is definitely, it brings a lot of value to the actual production. And when people watch, they know that he's doing it himself, and or he's someone that is capable. Like, it's believable when you watch it. You're like, wow, he's doing all this, and he really genuinely can. And so that the audience doesn't just care of what they see on screen. They also still have an impression of the person. Sometimes when someone watches it and they're like, oh, that's just an actor. He's probably, on a green screen, and it's probably digital, and he's being digitally replaced. It's still exciting to watch, but I think it does take something away from it. And, every audience is looking for something different. Some people really want to know, like, wow, he really did that. That's the difference, just to see it like with your own eyes, that this guy jumped from, one building all the way to another building. Like, there's some excitement to that. That's why when you go kind of on social media, seeing real stuff happen, it in some ways feels like more exciting, because there's higher stakes, because it's happening for real. And the fact that, like, again, the stakes are high. He's risking his health and his body to do all these crazy things just to entertain us.
Yeah.
And so I think the audience really respects that he does it. So, and he loves making movies, and he loves entertaining. So I think that's why he does it.
Yeah, totally agree with what you said.
Did I answer the question correctly?
You answered the question very well.
To what she was asking.
Oh, thank you. So, in the entertainment industry, especially as an actor and actress, what do you think is more important, the look or the skill?
Um, I'm going to jump on here. I think actually it's whatever tells the story. And like, it depends. What is the skill? Like, what's the role? Are they skilled? Then yes, the skill would matter. Are they not skilled? Are they just learning? Then the skill maybe it would take away from the role, you know? So I think in terms of look and skill, it depends on on each different character. So, but that being said, I mean, because, we both have done wushu, we both have martial arts background. If we were to play a part that, requires, a wushu athlete, or maybe even something close like MMA athlete, then the skill really does matter to make the role look very authentic. So I guess to answer your question,
Yeah.
It depends. Yeah, it depends.
So, what is the most memorable experience that almost cost you your life?
All right, I mean, okay, I can jump in like a very, very small story. So, I got into stunts through doing a music video with my friend, and then after he introduced me to a stunt team in Taiwan. And at the time, it just happened to be that they needed someone who can do wushu. So there, my skills came into play. I did this wushu form. It just happened to be the first wushu project in 5 years for them. So I just happened to be there at the right time, which was awesome. But then after that, I started doing more stunt work, and then I somehow had to do some car stunts, because in Asia they don't really define, what you're just a stunt person. You do whatever the director tells you to do. So I think it's a lot different in the States, and I think that's great. And Asia needs to change that. But yeah, so I was sitting in the car. And I mean, we're not even going that fast, but the car director for the stunts, he's driving the car, and then he somehow hits a ditch, and then the car spins and hits a tree. It's not fast. I mean, honestly, like in the end, like the whole stunt it's not like I don't think it was really life threatening, but it was a real wake up call for me, because actually the tree just hit right behind the door. So if I'm sitting here, it went like this, and the tree hit like right here. So imagine if we have gone the ditch just 1 foot further, the tree would have hit right here, and I probably would have banged it with my head or something. So actually it's not like, life or death situation, but it was more like a wake up call for me to be like, oh wow, like when you're doing car stunts, you're not trained for something like car stunts. You just kind of like a sitting duck, So that was really big realization for me to say, okay, so I've started in this industry. Now I'm getting to know what it really is, and like, is this something I want to do? So actually from that point on, I was like, okay, well, you know what? I think I really want to learn what it's like to be in front of the camera, what it's like to do acting. And so after that, I started taking acting classes. Then eventually I went to, Beijing to study at the Central Academy of Drama. And then from then on, yes, I can do a lot of martial arts. I can do a lot of stunts. I have the skills, but in the end, I'm an actress. And if you need my stunt skills, I can add that to my role, Yeah.
I've actually, I totally hear you with the car stuff. Like, I've actually been hired to do stunt work on, basically when they have actors in a car scene that are doing, I was not driving, but when someone, when the car itself, there's like a 360 or, or is just in a chase. So even the actors in the backseat need to be doubled for safety. And sometimes, the windows shatter or whatever. So one day, out of the work that I've done, I think it was on NCIS, like one of my days, my entire day of work was pretty much sitting in the backseat of a car with the driver, doing a 180. So I literally did not do anything physical, but to what you're saying, like luckily, or not luckily, I mean, the stunt driver we had is super phenomenal. I mean, like hundreds of credits, the most skilled guy in the industry. So we were all in good hands. But if the stunt is very dangerous and the person is not at the, confident with his abilities or capable, or even just if a mishap happens, like you are definitely, sitting back there and trusting that your, stunt brother right there can handle the safety of it. So I totally could see what, just jumping on that story that you were saying, it's like, it can be dangerous back there. That's why they have stunt people even in the back seats when it's something dangerous.
Yeah. So does the movie company buy your life insurance for all the stunt professionals? Did you get the life insurance to protect you? Whatever happened in the set, you are all covered?
I mean, there's definitely insurance. Like, I think, I don't know if they call it life insurance, but there is
disability.
There's definitely insurance. But you know what? Like, I loosely do know people that have been injured, and like it's not worth it to trade. Like an injury to get compensation, it's just not worth it. Like no one wants to get injured, and no amount of money can make up for if you get severely and permanently like injured or damaged.
Yeah, especially for like people like us who are like so physical, like we like to work out, we like to do flips, or like, I mean, like it sucks when you have an injury. It's just like our whole way of life is changed,
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think, as in that profession, do you buy your own insurance so that you are, if something happened to you, your life or you will be taken care of if something happened?
I mean, I think everyone generally, if they can afford it, has their own medical, insurance. So I definitely have, the standard. So if at a certain level in the Screen Actors Guild, which is what I'm a part of, SAG-AFTRA, you at a certain level, meaning if you've worked on enough projects and have certain, hours or whatnot, you're qualified to enroll in their health plan. So I'm just enrolled in the standard SAG health plan, which is, as far as I understand, pretty decent. And then when we are on projects, they also do have an added level of insurance that the production, purchases.
I think in Asia it's a bit different. We don't have a SAG. I think we just have our own personal life insurance, and on the production they give you a very basic insurance that they give pretty much everyone. Doesn't matter if you're a stunts or actor or crew, you just get that, I don't know, in Philippines, 100 peso
Oh my gosh.
insurance. I mean, not covers 100 pesos, but I know the production only pays probably 100 pesos for it or something. But, it's Asia. It's a little bit different here. That's something that I feel like I want to consider more now that you've mentioned it.
I think really, because this is, it's very dangerous because it's your occupation. It's an occupation hazardous, right? Yeah. It's most likely you have a very high percent of damage of your life. You risk your life comparing to some actor that's in the romance. What do? They just kiss and they do something that's very mild. There's no life dent.
And they don't need insurance for that?
It's normal. Insurance is okay, right? And I'm surprised that you you
We
as
don't
a
have
stunt
special
professional,
insurance.
right? You as a stunt professional, you don't have a special insurance for that. That's you might want to consider that, and get the maximum insurance as you can. All right.
I'll consider that.
Yeah, especially you, Sarah. You are a mom right now, right? So consider that if you never know, because you are still open to play, some role with the martial art in there, right? It's not just like you say never. I will never play martial art again. But if you,
Oh, that's not gonna happen.
I know,
I want to be a granny and play like a granny martial arts.
yeah, that would be so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what movies or roles do you want to play next?
I think I've sort of touched on that one. Do you want to take this
comedy
one,
or right?
What's your wish?
What's your wish, Alfred?
What's my wish? I mean, well, I feel like we both touched on it, but yeah, for me, like I said, I genuinely love kind of both sides of the film spectrum, meaning the production and creation and behind the scenes aspect, or I mean behind the camera aspect, I really enjoy. But in terms of a project or a role that I think in the current phase of my life that I'd be really excited about is playing some kind of character or being part of some kind of project where the protagonist has to go through some type of insurmountable odds in order to help someone or protect someone that he cares about, or protect a cause or an ideology that he believes in. So, I mean, I said it kind of in depth, but really, some kind of person that stands up to kind of like a hero type, mentality or a project. Doesn't have to be a superhero project, but just someone that like I said, faces insurmountable odds and stands up for something that he supports or believes in, and
Or like
definitely think
One Punch Man.
Well, okay, he's just a hero for fun, but that's like yeah. No, she's joking because I just recently did a project, a live action One Punch Man. I'm a fan of the anime, and I also had to shave my head for that. So there's a recurring thing about shaving my head. But also, yeah, there's some projects that I'm kind of moving forward with characters that, yeah, someone that's gonna face a lot of odds, a lot of adversities, a lot of fight scenes, in order to achieve his objective, and to share some sort of positive message.
Yeah, I can see that, and some romance too, right? A little bit romance in there.
I mean, there's not a good film without some form of love.
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
If you have your own children, like Sarah, right? And this including Alfred. When you marry, you have children. If you have your own children, would you have them follow your footsteps?
Sarah, I think this is you. You're already one step ahead of me.
Well, unintentionally, she seems to be going towards these footsteps. I mean, I could see her being a great actress, to be honest. She's a drama queen right now, but she's like, and she's got these like crazy kicks. I'm like, she's like what, 15 months now? My gosh, she has really good form in her kicks. I don't know how that happened. I guess we just work out around her. I don't know. But yeah, it's a tough life, but I feel like she's confident girl. I think she would do well. Do I want her to do this route? I wouldn't say it's the most stable or most stable in terms of income and emotional stability and mental stability. I mean, I don't think it's a great idea if you really had to choose, but if it's your passion, of course, I mean, I would support her 100%. But if she had a choice and it's not what she really, really liked, then I'd say don't go for it. It's a crazy life, man. Yeah, it's a crazy life. Like, wouldn't you agree, Alfred?
Yes, definitely. I mean, I live for it. I live for the excitement of it, but it is definitely a crazy life.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll also jump into that. I guess, yeah, I'm not there yet. But I do think that, yeah, I'd be a hypocrite if I would say that I wouldn't let my, son or daughter pursue a similar path as me. I would just want them to have a strong foundation, in terms of having good. I would want them to have a strong foundation in terms of having a good skill set, tools, the right mentality, the right mindset, and education, and then let them choose. Like, I don't necessarily want them to just only know, martial arts or only know acting or whatever it is. We want them to kind of go through life, gain experiences, try different things. And if that's what they like to do, I hope that they would be, have the right tools at that time, because it is a very difficult field, and I do think that's why, Sarah has martial arts skills and background, and as do I. So it's hard enough just trying to come in and be, an actor in a sea of people that are all talented, good looking, hardworking. You got to have tools on top of that. And if you can bring something else to the table, like if you're, you speak multiple languages, or you really have a good grasp of comedy, or you can do martial arts like at a very high level. Those are all tools. So I'd want them to have that, something concrete to go forward with if they wanted to pursue, acting or anything.
Are you both multilingual, like at least bilingual? Do you speak Mandarin?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yes.
We both speak Mandarin. I studied French in school, but it's barely functional.
Yeah, I studied Spanish in school. It's sort of functional. I'm learning Tagalog, which is, barely functional. I can sing in Tagalog, though. That's
Nice.
that's what I've been learning by singing.
So yes, of course, another language is another opportunity, right? Another door open.
Yep.
For us all.
I think it's really important now that like more people understand more cultures, not just their own. It's a really good time. And language is one of those things, where it helps bridge the gap of understanding, and you're able to learn about other cultures more. So, just bridging, I think that's super important during this time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that in terms of like the language, sorry, I just wanted to add on that. I'm a totally different person when I speak Chinese, and I mean it's really, the words really shape, that culture. So when you do learn another language, you really learn how they think, and, how they express themselves. It's really interesting.
I'm curious, how do you feel different? Because I feel the same. I mean, I feel different too. When I speak Vietnamese, I am Vietnamese, right? So when I speak Vietnamese, I feel different from when I speak English. So I'm curious about you. When you speak Chinese or Mandarin, how do you feel? What's the mindset? What's the what's the thinking behind the Mandarin?
I don't know if there's a specific thinking like one specific thing, because I'm sorry, I was also going to jump in on what Sarah was saying, because that was a super really great point. I actually shot a short film where basically the same thing happens 2 times, I guess. This man, he's trying to save someone. And one time it happens in LA, and then the second time it happens in Beijing. And I just kind of did this as a film experiment. And it was very interesting because yeah, just the way that you're thinking goes. It's very different when you're speaking in Chinese. There's certain things that become more natural and certain things that are very unnatural. I don't know how to explain it. Yeah, but like when yeah, you're like, I don't know. I was able to get, I guess, more. Okay, this is weird. This is maybe me personally, but I was able to be more vocal about my anger in the short film when I was speaking English. So
Yeah.
again, maybe that's more Western thing. I was a little bit more direct. You know, I was able to say like what I wanted, or, you know, I cursed someone out and said I wanted to, like, you know, just, I said, you know, certain things that were more direct. But when it was the Chinese speaking character, he wasn't like afraid or anything like that, but it's just his natural thought, like the way that the language forms doesn't go in a direction that's like you do this, I want it, or like it wasn't like that. And so he was a little bit more, yeah, maybe some people would say more roundabout, but I was yeah, I don't know, I felt different, which affected even the performance. And I've even seen this if you watch there's, I think, Mila Jovovich or something, and I could be wrong, but there's like an interview with her and Justin Timberlake, and it's in Russia. When she speaks English, she's a little bit more playful and fun, I guess. But when she speaks in Russian, she seems definitely more firm and you know, stoic. And it's the way that, you know, the language kind of forms how we think.
Yeah.
But sorry for jumping in earlier, Sarah. I'd love for you to continue on that, because I think it's very fascinating.
Yeah, I totally 100% agree with you. I think it was Mila Kunis. I'm not sure.
There you go. You're right.
I
think you're right. I think you're right. It was like a movie premiere, like promotional thing they were doing.
Yeah, I actually saw that interview too, and I totally 100% related to it. And I feel like Asian culture is just much more reserved and much more respectful and more polite. I don't know if that's in the language, but or just the way I perceive it. I'm not sure. But when I speak in Chinese, I feel like I'm more reserved and respectful or something. I don't know. And also, I think also it has to do with that we're American born, so and we're more comfortable speaking English, I guess. But I think, I think we both got into a point where we're really comfortable to speak Mandarin as well. So then in that respect, it is the culture, the reserve, and the roundabout is actually a thing of our culture as well. Like we don't say things directly. That's not how you're supposed to do it. So yeah, it is different. Yeah.
Yeah, that topic would be very interesting to explore, because I noticed that as well when I speak Vietnamese versus when I speak English. So when I do coaching, I ask my client, even though they speak Vietnamese, I say, no, speak English to me, because I it's very hard for me to be as a coach speaking them in English. I mean in Vietnamese. It's like emotional shift. I cannot be direct to them and say, nope, you blah 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 blah, right? It's very different. So I thought it just I thought I relate to that.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
For sure.
It's like a mindset. Sure. You're speaking you're used to speaking in English when you put on maybe a more professional or coaching attitude, and when you speak in Vietnamese, it might be a little more personable, or it just changes, like your mindset, even your body language.
Absolutely,
it's possible that it could change. So
yeah,
very interesting to explore.
Yeah, next maybe on solo podcast, or when I'm gonna share that in my in my private coaching.
You should get a bilingual or trilingual like speech pathologist on one of your next podcasts. Someone that specializes in speech, because we're not experts in that, but someone that expert on that, but that also speaks at least 2 languages. That would be interesting.
That would be I think that would be great topic to explore. Yeah. If you know anybody, let me know, okay?
My mom has a PhD in linguistics. Just putting it out there. But not a speech pathologist, but I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Introduce me to your mom. I already told you that, right, Sarah? You keep saying
Yes.
my mom is great, and I say introduce her to me, right? And then we'll see where we can start. What
my mom is very good at accounting. So hey,
you should just do the next episode with our moms. We don't even need to be here,
All right. Okay.
Dude, she's a financial controller. Okay, anyways, go ahead.
Okay. Last question. I know that our listener enjoy this tremendously, but how do you want people to follow you or get in touch with you? Sarah?
Shameless plug time, yay! Everybody, my plug is Starring Sarah Chang. Starring Sarah Chang on Facebook, Starring Sarah Chang on Instagram, and www.starringsarahchang.com. And then you can also find my movie now in the US, Blood Hunters, Rise of the Hybrids on Amazon Prime, and The Trigonal, Fight for Justice on iTunes.
Dude, you guys got to go check that out. And as for me, Instagram, pretty much all the platforms, Alfred, ALFRED, ROCKS, Alfred Rocks. I got to live by it. And also, yes, I have a few things kind of popping up out there right now. One of which is we just released a trailer for a One Punch Man live action. If you're a fan of anime and action and kind of action comedy, go ahead, check it out. We are getting a lot of support and love in the online community right now. And also one of my personal passion projects, Martial Arts and a Meal, where I'm actually the host and I meet up with an expert martial artist to talk about life, food, philosophy. And they also teach martial arts over, they teach martial arts, but we talk over food, which is why I love food and I love martial arts. So I put those two things together. It's on YouTube. We've got 4 episodes out and a 5th one coming out very soon with UFC fighter Michelle Watterson. Martial Arts and a Meal, that's my plug. And please give us a follow. And thank you guys for listening.
Wow, so wonderful. Woohoo! Well, thank you so much, Sarah and Alfred, for being here. Now I have a better understanding about Wushu, and I have gained more respect for the stunt professionals. For you, our listeners and viewers, what is the one key takeaway that you are going to implement in your life from this interview? If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, rate, review Asian Women of Power podcast. Until next time, live life loud.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Asian Women of Power podcast. We encourage you to apply what you've learned here today to make your life a little bit better every day. For more tips, tools, practical ideas, and conversations around a business, life, and relationships so that you too can live life loud, we invite you to join the Asian Women of Power Facebook group at www.joinasianwomenofpower.com.